Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar of 2024. This one's called Beating the Winter Blues. I'm Adam Wilton. I'm the health promoter here with Community Care Peterborough. My role is I lead a number of classes for the Exercise and Falls Prevention Program. You can also find me doing a lot of behind the scenes work throughout the week when I'm not teaching various classes over Zoom or within the community. We're going to be talking today about the different ways that the winter can impact us, what we can do to make sure that the winter isn't negatively impacting us, and just kind of talk about a couple tips, tricks, and resources that are available to you either through the Government of Canada or through Community Care Peterborough. So today we're going to be talking about a couple different types of hazards that we face in the winter. The first type of hazard that we face in the winter is physical hazards. So the main physical hazard in the winter is snow. Snow is a huge hazard because it can hide things like curbs, uneven terrain, potholes in the ground, cracks in the pavement. So it's always good to be mindful of when we're walking on snow, when we do have to cross a snowy area. We're making sure that we're a little familiar with the route. We kind of know where we're going, and we're not speeding through things. We're taking our time to cross these paths because snow can hide a lot of things underneath. One of the main things snow hides underneath is ice, a huge hazard during the winter. I know I fall like once a year on the ice. I'm sure everyone else has fallen at least once on the ice in their lifetime. It's a pretty common hazard. And it's one that we face regularly. We can do things to prepare for dealing with the ice, like knowing when it's going to be icy conditions out, paying extra special attention to when what the weather's like, when it's hot during the day and freezes at night. That's going to make great icy conditions. So just kind of being mindful of what the weather's been like, what we might be going out to face, as well as being mindful that we don't always see ice. Sometimes it can be hidden under snow, or just because of the glare from the sun outside, we might just not be able to miss it. So always kind of approaching the outside with a little bit of tentativeness, because there might just be ice lurking around the corner and you don't know it. The third and final physical hazard that we're going to talk about is snowbanks. Now, snowbanks is pretty similar to snow, but they provide a couple unique challenges. The issue with snowbanks is, again, they hide the terrain under there. We don't really know if there's pavement under there, if there's grass. The other issue with snowbanks is a lot of the time they have different densities, a lot of different depths. So you might find that if you do have to cross a snowbank, maybe one foot stays on top because that part's packed down and solid, but the other foot you sink down 3 feet and then maybe we're stuck. We've injured ourselves at that point. So trying our best to avoid snowbanks if we can, and making sure that if we do have to cross a snowbank, maybe we've got something like a stick in front of us so we can just kind of give it a good poke, see how deep it is, get an idea, but to the best of our ability, we'll try to avoid snowbanks. And that way we're not, risking extra injury. We're staying on those well-maintained paths. Now, there are other kinds of hazards in the winter that we're going to discuss today. And the main other hazard that we're going to discuss is mental health. A lot of folks, their mental health can be negatively impacted by the winter, whether it's due to the shorter days, whether it's due to being spending more time alone, spending more time inside. There can be a variety of causes that will negatively impact your mental health, and we'll kind of touch on a number of these and what we can do to negate the negative effects of winter on our mental health. So now here's the big question. What can we do to help our mental health, to take care of our physical health during the winter? And the answer is there are tons of things we can do. So for our physical health, first and foremost, we want to be mindful of our environment. So what that means is, as I mentioned before, paying special attention to the weather, making sure that we're prepared for what it's like outside. If it's very cold, if it's going to be really icy conditions, maybe avoiding going out that day. If there's lots of snow, using well-maintained paths and using familiar routes. It's really important that we stick to well-maintained paths. So by that, I mean, kind of if you're walking somewhere, stick to the main streets, because those are going to be more often than not the ones that are the first ones to be snow plowed, first ones to be salted. And then with people using those paths regularly, the snow gets packed down and nice and condensed for us to be able to safely walk across. So just kind of planning your route, paying attention to the external factors that might influence it. These are a couple steps that we can take just to kind of prevent any slips, trips, and falls that might occur. There are also tools that we can use to make things a little easier on ourselves. First and foremost, there are ski poles or walking poles. For any of you that have attended our exercise and falls prevention classes before, we actually do offer a pole walking class, so you may be familiar with that. But these are excellent because they help us widen our base of support. We get those extra points of contact on the ground, so maybe we feel a little more steady, we feel a little more competent when we're walking on snowy trails. So yeah, these are an excellent tool to use when braving the elements in the winter. There are also shoe grippers or cleats. It just kind of depends on the brand you buy. Basically what these are, they're like a rubber sole to your shoe that you can pull over the end of your shoe, and it just kind of sits there snugly. They've got little spikes on the bottom, and that way you can grip the ground a little easier. These are an excellent tool because, again, little extra grip, maybe you're a little more comfortable with walking them. So you, again, got that extra confidence when walking. Third, we've got proper footwear in the winter. This is the main one, I would say. You know, we don't need to be going anywhere in our Crocs and our sandals in the winter. We want to make sure that our feet are nice and warm. We're making sure that they're tightly packed in. So we've got our warm socks on, warm shoes, but we're not restricting the blood flow to our foot. And we want to make sure that we've got a ton of ankle support with the footwear that we're wearing, because we're facing a lot more uneven terrain. There's always the chance of maybe slipping our foot out a little bit, and the wearing proper footwear with lots of ankle support is an excellent way to maybe give us that extra little bit of support so that we don't roll our ankle and tumble over. Instead, maybe our foot just kind of loses its spot for a second and we readjust, catch ourselves, take a moment. There's also another tool we can use, which is something called the penguin walk. So with the penguin walk, when you're walking, we've got our shoes, like our feet like this normally. We're going to have a nice wide stance going, and we're going to face our toes out. And by facing our toes out, we, again, like I mentioned before, widen that base of support. So what this is going to look like from the waist up is we're going to keep a nice bend in our knees. We're going to bend ourselves forward, keep our back nice and straight. And again, wide stance, toes facing out. And we're just going to kind of shuffle, taking small steps. We're not doing any large lunges or anything that's going to really throw off our balance. And the reason why we lean forward is because it's a lot easier to catch ourselves, grab onto something, or protect our head when we're falling forward versus falling backwards. There's nothing you can really do. You can try and protect your head, but you don't really know what part's going to make contact with the ground first. So again, nice wide stance, feet outwards, leaning forward a little bit, and just short, nice and controlled steps. And again, that's called the penguin walk. All right. As we mentioned before, the other hazards we face during the winter are a lot of mental health hazards, things that will negatively impact our mental health or give us negative mental health outcomes. So I've written down a couple of resources here that are available to Canadians and Ontarians for free. The first one is Connects Ontario, the middle one there. This one's great for people who are suffering from mental health issues like depression, anxiety, stress, and lots of other mental health issues. Like I see it mentions addiction there. So the way this works is they've got a 24/7 helpline that you can either call into, you can text. They've got an online service that you can message through your computer, you can email, and they also have an app on their phone that you can connect with individuals. And the way it works is you'll talk to someone, sort of let them know how you're feeling, what you've been struggling with, and they'll be able to connect you with local resources that can provide you the support you need. The next two are Bounce Back and Wellness Together Canada. So these two are pretty similar. They're both skill building programs. So the way these work are you sign on, you maybe fill out a little questionnaire about yourself just so they know kind of what they want to suggest to you. And then the way it works is you sign up for a course, though they're normally as short as about 15 minutes. Some might take a little longer, some might not take as long, but they're just sort of short courses that are designed to give you the skills to deal with various things in your life, like stress and anxiety. So our first tip and trick for getting your mental health on track during the winter is to get enough vitamin D. Vitamin D is one of those vitamins that helps our brain produce serotonin, one of those chemicals that make us feel uplifted and happy. And we get vitamin D from the sun, but during the winter, the sun's not out for as long. We don't really want to be out and about during the day as much because, it's cold out. Nobody really likes the cold. So there's a couple things we can do to get vitamin D. Some folks suggest getting a UV light. My mom has a UV light and she swears by it. She loves it a lot. You can also take vitamin D supplements, provided you've talked to your physician already and they've said that it's not going to be an issue due to any underlying medical or previous medical conditions. So check with your physician, but taking a vitamin D supplement is an excellent way to get your adequate amount of vitamin D during the winter. Next is having social interaction. Having social interaction, really gets the brain moving. It's harder to have social interaction in the winter. Like I said, it's colder out. It's not as easy to travel places. So doing things like even having a phone call with someone or meeting up with friends once a week for dinner, just little things like this can really make, excuse me, a world of difference. With your mental health because it's kind of exercising the brain in ways that it's maybe gotten a little used to not doing just with staying cooped up inside during the colder months. Next, we've got making sure you're sleeping adequately. It's hard to get rid of stress, get rid of anxiety. It's hard to kind of deal with things on a day-to-day basis and to really for our body to just generally function if we aren't well rested. So what this means is you want to make sure that you're getting to bed at a good time. You've got a proper nighttime routine set up. A lot of folks suggest not using screens for like an hour before bed. So if you've got like a book, or I'm a big fan of listening to podcasts before bed. You can even do stuff like play games like Sudoku or do like word searches or crosswords. These are excellent ways to kind of wind down at the end of the day, get our brain sort of away from the screen, away from the busyness of everything. And then also just recognizing what your nightly routine is, what you kind of need. If you're a hot sleeper, maybe you have a fan going, have some water going. If you sleep cold, making sure you got some extra blankets nearby. And just really reading our body, reading what we need, making sure that we're feeling adequately rested at the end of each night. Kind of, again, piggybacking on this, it's very hard to function if we're not eating well and staying hydrated. It's really easy during the winter to say, I don't want to go out and grocery shop. I'm just going to pick up something fast for a drive-through, or I don't really want to make anything. Let's just throw a frozen pizza on. There's tons of reasons why, we don't need to do all these steps to make a good meal, but there's also tons of reasons to do it. It helps our body function regularly. We'll sleep better. We'll feel more energized to go out and do things. So just making sure that we're eating well, eating a healthy, balanced diet is an excellent way to improve our mental health. I'm going to mention this here again in a couple minutes, but eating well, staying hydrated, this is also can be part of a routine that you establish. For example, I have gotten into the habit recently of Sundays. I do my meal prep for the week, so I like to spend my afternoon Sunday cooking up, 2 or 3 different meals. And that way I know I've got healthy meals ready for the week. and I'm not too worried about what I'm going to have to eat on these busier days, and I don't have to eat out as much, and I don't have to eat as unhealthy because I've got these meals prepped. That works for someone like me who loves to cook, but it can just be kind of a helpful routine to get into. But again, I'll touch on that in a couple minutes here. Staying physically active, excellent for mental health. My background's in kinesiology, so I cannot suggest this more. Getting physically active, like with having vitamin D, it releases serotonin in your brain, makes you feel good, makes you feel great, makes you feel physically well, more physically capable. And it's also great for your physical health as well. We're less prone to slips, trips, and falls when we strengthen our muscles regularly. So staying physically active is one of the best things you can do for not only your physical health, but your mental health during the winter months. And again, being physically active, it can kind of add to that routine, whether it's just going for a walk every so often, whether you want to go to the gym, you can find a gym partner there, stretch those social muscles as well. So there's a lot of different ways we can get physically active. There's a lot of different ways it can kind of improve our day-to-day life. Finally, if you're finding that you're trying things, you're just not really feeling better, things are feeling a little bit too hard to deal with on your own, you can talk to a professional. There's been a huge push in recent years with initiatives like Bell Let's Talk and Bell Let's Talk Day to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health. Because it is perfectly normal for people to need a little extra support, especially during the winter months, but all year round. It's a normal thing for people to need to talk to and receive support from a professional. And that's why we have these systems in place. We have these professionals who are trained for this, because it's something that everyone faces at some point in their life, and having those support systems in place and getting that support is a perfectly normal thing. So if you feel that things are just getting to be a little too much, seeking that extra bit of professional support is never a bad idea. And then finally, I touched on this before, creating a new routine. It's not only good for a number of these things I previously mentioned, like getting social interaction. Maybe you're organizing a games night each week, getting physically active, joining a walking group, or as I mentioned, doing like a meal prep on Sunday. Creating these new routines are excellent because it kind of adds something in your week that you have to look forward to. It's scheduled, and you're not sort of in the monotony of, a lot of folks, they found during the winter that they come home at night from work or whatever they fill their day with, and then they just kind of sit alone and watch TV for the evening. So having these things planned really helps sort of break up everything, and it's a really good thing to have during the week so that you can look forward to it and it's coming, and you're not just going to be sitting at home watching a little TV or whatever it is people do to fill their evenings with. So we've talked about what you can do for yourself, but there's also a lot of stuff that community care can do to kind of offer that extra support. So first and foremost, we've got our Meals on Wheels program. This is a great program. It offers affordable, nutritious meals that get delivered right to your door. So again, if you're not so big on cooking, great way, and you don't want to go out so much during the winter, great way to get a healthy meal right to your door. You don't have to cook, and you're not eating McDonald's 3 times a day. So it's an excellent option. They also do grocery deliveries for those of you that do like to cook, because it is, it's cold out, it's snowy, it's icy, it's cold. We don't want to be out and about. So having groceries delivered to your house is an excellent way to stay safe, stay warm, but you can still cook up a nice, healthy, nutritious meal on your own time. Next, we've got our Diners Club. This is great for, like I said, getting out, being social. There's social gatherings that come at a reasonable price. Normally you pay, there's different fees every time, but they're always normally pretty affordable. You go out, you'll get a meal with the event. They'll have time set aside for individuals to socialize. And then there's always something else going on with the evening, whether it's some form of entertainment, whether it's a health and wellness presentation, or sometimes there's things like, yeah, bands, games going on, a whole variety of different things. It just kind of depends on the night, but it's always a great way to go out, meet new people, and to stretch those social muscles. Next, we've got transportation. I talked quite a bit earlier about, traveling during the winter. Walking around isn't always the safest, and we do have transportation options available to people. They provide safe, reliable transportation to things like medical appointments, various treatments, shopping around the community service, and social and recreational activities like our diners club. So if you feel that, it's not great out, you don't really want to be walking as much during the winter months, maybe you're not as steady on your feet, or you don't feel too confident out because the conditions are terrible, you can always try out, community care does offer transportation. And last but not least, we have some honorable mentions. We have our home help program. These are individuals who will come by. You can always have a little chat with them, but they're there for, helping out around the house. For example, if you've got a short walkway, they'll be able to shovel and salt it for you, shovel and salt your driveway. As long as you don't have like a 5 kilometer driveway, we won't make them shovel, our volunteers shovel that. But they are able to come out and help around the house with anything minor that's needed. We also have our friendly visiting program. So this can be people who come into your house and maybe, you've got some stuff in common. So you like to play games. I used to use games a lot because I'm a big games person. Maybe they come in, they play board games, or you guys just chat for a little bit, catch up, and then they can go on their way. And then there's also over the phone, so you can catch up with it, friendly visitors over the phone. But if that's something that doesn't really interest you and you're just looking for more of a support program because maybe you're living independently, what they can do is they'll just call in, see how you're doing, make sure everything's okay, and then that can just be the end of it, and you don't have to talk to them anymore. It's up to you and your personal preference. And then finally, we've got our exercise and falls prevention, my personal favorite. These are classes that are offered throughout a variety of communities within Peterborough County, as well as online. We've got our classes Monday through Friday, and these classes include things like just general exercise classes, falls prevention classes, which include things like balance training, gait training, things like that. There's also Zumba classes. Chair yoga is a big one that we do as well. So really there's a whole variety, and they're completely free to tune into or to attend. And if what isn't for you, you're always welcome to attend other ones just to see what you think is the best fit, and just check it out. All right, so that looks like the end of our presentation here. So thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in class soon. Thank you.